everybody, just checking in from 5 Mile Lake. I woke up this morning and checked the weather, and it turns out it's going to be 9 degrees overnight. So it's a little cool right now. It's about 2 degrees or so. It's supposed to rain later today, but not till about 5 o'clock, so dark. So Dave dug his boat out of storage, and here we are at 5 Mile Lake. The dogs are just running around having a time already. Claire and I both thought it might be good to get the little dog out and run some energy off her, because she kind of gets a little sedentary during the week. So, we're not really sure where we're going to set up. We've got 2 established sites on this lake, and one of them is great for the summer, but I think it's going to be a little cold for tonight, especially where the wind's supposed to come up and it's supposed to pour rain. So we're not really sure. We might use our spot in the cove, and that would give us a little bit more shelter, but it also isn't as nice. Like, it's not very scenic. You're kind of huddled into the woods. Or we might try to find a new spot, but yeah, it remains to be seen. Gray day, nice nonetheless. I'm glad that it's going to get warmer as the day goes.
Yeah,
it's nice and calm. Be nice if the sun actually came out for an hour or so.
yeah,
Well,
that'd be cool. It'd be nice if it actually came out for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Temperature went up to. They must have shut the.
It is a little brisk, but it's only going to get warmer as the day goes on. I might put an extra layer on underneath. Boat's all shored up. We got everything that anyone could possibly want to bring on a camping trip. At some point we're going to do a hike and have to whittle this all back down to something reasonable again, but for now we'll bring as much as we can. Oh my! So,
That answers that question.
looks like people have been here. Huh. Who the heck would have... 4-wheelers. There's 4-wheeler tracks right there, lah.
Yeah. Had to be. I mean, who else is dragging in?
Yeah.
This is pretty clutch, man.
So,
Good job, boys.
it's looking like... Yeah, this is going to work for us. God, that's a lot of wood.
Man, I guess it is.
Guess they didn't realize that this is our campsite.
Yeah, seriously.
Whatever.
They fixed up the fire reflector a little bit.
Nice and sheltered in here today. Look at this thing. God, I can't believe they lugged that all the way in here.
Hey man, that's dandy.
You got a stick. Well, because it's supposed to be so windy tonight, we think we're going to abandon this little spot where they've kind of got everything ready. Looks like it must be for hunting or something. I would say that's what it is. We're going to go up in the woods just a short ways and set up in there. They cleared out a bunch of the trees up here, just like I think the old dead ones, for firewood, and that's probably what's down there. So it's nice and open up here, but it's a little brighter. That was my only fault with this last campsite, is there's not great hammock trees to set up for 2 people, and it's going to be windy probably tonight, so we're hoping that up here it won't be so bad. So Dave's just getting his set up. We got a big rock over here that we may set a fire up against, use it as a fire reflector, or we may just put it in between us. I think we're going to probably just put it between us. Pretty cool. A lot of tall fir and a couple of pine.
Well, the farmer prayed for a better year, and the crops will look like the Lord did here, and the barn burned down with the winter near. The answer came in a white and black, in the farmer and all. Says if a man could have half a wish,
hammocks up. If it's in the wrong direction, I got to take it all down. What a pain.
Perseverance is a virtue, they tell me.
What's that?
Perseverance is a virtue, because sooner or later.
It's hard to believe the wind's going to come way up later on. Come out to grab a little bit of water. It's another reason why we like this place. There's a ledge here. It just drops off. It's really easy to get water, and in the summer it's easy to swim in. Water. Okay, looks like we have pretty much our hammock set up, ready to go. Dave's running his Hennessy and Hennessy tarp. I got my war bonnet. Ooh, I gotta stake it out and put on my underquilt. But this tarp setup's gonna be good. We're gonna have our eating table there, and I think we're putting our fire down here, aren't we, Dave?
Yeah, I'd say that's
down
probably
here,
the prime location.
kind of right here, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, that's looking good. So I think I'll show you a little bit while we still have light. A little darker under the tarps until these little pup tent set up. But it's going to be not great for filming. By the time Dave and I actually decide to start the stew, it's probably going to be dark. So anyway, this is our tripod. Let me just flip my camera viewer around. This is going to be our tripod. The fire's going to go right there. This is the probably best thing I bought in the last 2 years. Dutch oven. It's just a cheap one from Cabela's. And put the potatoes and carrots and onions and stuff are in that bag because I had to do some shopping before we came. A little bit of seasoning and things. But we'll chop it all up, and it's all going to go in that one pot. Stella. And yeah, we'll let it bubble while we sit here and play some tunes. Dave just bringing in some wood for us that someone else so kindly cut. We'll buck that up in a minute. And I'm going to start making some coffee just as soon as we get the fire going. Dave is setting up the tripod for us. I'm going to go get water for the kettle. Oh, perfect.
Or maybe that one.
Yeah, let's try that. These are friggin' huge. Okay, go see them. Did you keep these in your pocket overnight?
Yeah, I wanted them in my bosom. Well, the sweet old lady was an 84 when her kinfolk came for a month or more, and from overwork, now she's on the other shore. Too late, but y'all come back, says in the farmer's dog. It's capoed on the guitar too.
Oh, is
this
it?
might change it. Play your E now. Where's your E now?
I wonder every day as I look upon your face.
So I figured we'd film just a little bit because basically every time we're out, once it goes dark, we stop And unfortunately it's dark at 5 o'clock, so I'm not going to have any footage if we don't. This is our supper. See if I can... Whoa! Stew. We bubbled it on the crock pot for, I don't know, how many hours, Dave? 2.5, 3 hours? Tilly is getting some as well.
More like 4.
Alright, so it's kind of slowed down, a little bit of rain. It's been raining off and on pretty much the whole night, since it's gone dark anyway. But yeah, we got our stew made, and the dogs are happy. They're both a little bit wet, so we'll have to towel them down before we go to bed. But yeah, eat, maybe play a few tunes to record for the video, and then off to bed we go. It's about, what time is it, Dave?
9:30.
It's 9:30. Late for us. Alright, probably film in the morning. Good morning, everyone. We had a fairly sleepless night. Not that we didn't sleep when we were able to, but it poured rain, like as hard as maybe I've ever been out in, for about 4 hours last night. So Dave's boat kept filling up with water. So the first time Dave set his timer to wake up around 1 o'clock or something like that, and when he came down and checked the boat, he came back up about 20 minutes later and said the boat was basically almost underwater, so he had to bilge pump it for 20 minutes. So he then had to set his timer for every half hour. So that made for a bit of an interrupted sleep. It's pretty comfy though. It was like 8 degrees, and the dog slept through the whole night, my little dog. And Stella now, one time when we were here, Dave tried to let her sleep underneath his hammock, and she just barked the whole night. But now that he's got her in the hammock with him, it's been great. Like she's a great dog. She sleeps the whole night whenever we are actually asleep. So it stopped raining. It's actually still pretty warm. My clothes may betray that, just because I got a lot of stuff on, just because I just woke up. This is like a really light down jacket from Mountain Hardware that I bought 100 years ago. It's got holes all through it from campfires, and I got my my rain pants on just because everything's still a little damp. And my dog likes to get up on my lap nowadays, so when I'm in the hammock, so rather than be soaked, I'm just leaving these on for now. But yeah, it's nice and warm. I mean, what is it? November 25th, and here I am. Like, I don't even have a hat on. I didn't have to have a hat in the hammock overnight, so we're gonna go in, make up our big old 14 cupper of coffee, and proceed to drink that until it's time to go home. Hey, so it's pretty dark in here, but I figured I'd show you the camp. This camera, I guess the light sensor is pretty small in it, or whatever it is that picks up what you're filming. Anyway, it wasn't worth me to pay an extra, say, $400-600 for a camera that worked and performed better in low light, because it's pretty good otherwise. So there was our camp. I had to drop that tarp down because there was a pool of water in there about 1 a.m. that I almost couldn't lift. I'm surprised it didn't break my tarp lines. Both of us were dry as we could be. I'm gonna get that Coleman stove going. It's a good night, just not overly filled with sleep.
Man, let's get rid of this dank ass camp and go for driving the boat. It's beautiful. I'm just gonna sit here.
Okay, now that we get some light, this was from last night, we're gonna heat it up for breakfast. Ooh, 2 dumplings left. 1.5, I guess. The dogs love the carrots. Ooh, get out of that. The lake's just through there. You can kind of see it. We were gonna build a fire on that rock, and then we didn't. We decided to stay under our tarps. So in the middle of the night, I ended up pitching my tarp down from what you can see here now. Right now it's up on that corner. I had to drop it right to the bottom because when Dave first went and emptied out the boat, this little bubble right here, right there, was so big that I could barely push it off the tarp. So That's what happens when you porch mowed it, and it isn't quite steep enough. It covered everything down here, like we had good coverage for everything, but then it just pools. So, Tilly, I just threw that tarp right over top of it, just draped it over. You might see it from a picture or so. But yeah, that worked really well. It's dry as a bone in there. She was nice and warm, but I think it was 8 or 9 degrees overnight, so hard not to be. Okay, since last night was such a mega rainstorm, I figured I'd show you how I have my hammock set up, and Dave's as well, because neither of us got a drop in the hammocks themselves. Sometimes what you'll get is the water will run down the lines. I didn't have an issue. I find the war bonnet with whoopee slings kind of maybe stops that on its own, but I kind of rig it up a little bit so it may prevent it just in case. So here's my head end of my hammock. Right here, I'm going to flip this screen. So there's my head end. That's the whoopee sling. I always dangle that down. That feels a little damp actually. So water would have run down to that and then just down to the ground from there. So that's probably what saved that end. This carabiner, that's if I hook directly to the tree straps. There's my tree straps. I've got a marlin spike on there. So it just goes around there. Tons of information for marlin spikes from people, and it just goes to my tree strap around the tree. So that's the way I did both ends of mine. Now Dave's is a little different. His has these big, these are basically seat belts, and this is called a Night Eyes cam jam or cam lock. They're kind of overbuilt for what we do, but they work so easy. You just have to tighten and then wrap your rope around here. So with his, a lot of water would run down here. My battery's about to die. And then if it got past that point, right here, he's got this little prusik knot. That's where the water would drip down. And his tarp is about 1 foot coverage over the head end. And mine's about 2 feet, but mine's a bigger tarp. And my hammock's actually slightly shorter than the Hennessy, I believe. All right. Coffee's ready, stew's ready. Takes much of that you want, Dave. I probably won't have a. I'll probably have a quarter of one of those dumplings, and that's it.
I have some for Stella here too, I think.
Stella, you're gonna get some of that. Tilly, do you want some as well? Do you want some as well? Yeah. Okay. It's funny. It's bright, but it's raining. Basically rained the entire time we were here.
Yep. Piss poured.
It's been nice though. Tilly, come on down off there. Come on.
Tilly, come! She's right there. Is that shit in your way? What's that? There's stuff in your way.
Okay, well that's about it. I don't have rubber boots, which I may have to get, so Dave's doing all the hard work down there. Yeah, it was a great trip. It never was cold. Hands are a little cold now because, well, it's about 6-7 degrees and raining pretty much the whole time, so not sure when we'll get out again. This was a surprise one, so it's always nice to add an extra one without even thinking about it. Dave needs my help, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Nicely done.
Okay, this is our job.
Yep.
Yeah, Chris and his camera were always on the go. You never